Imagine a crash test dummy standing nervously in a lab. On one side looms a shiny new SUV, on the other, a sleek sedan. The dummy is wondering, which ride would give me the best odds if things go horribly wrong out there on the real road? It's a question car buyers have argued about for decades. The common wisdom says bigger equals safer. But is that still true now that SUVs are everywhere, crash tests are tougher, and new tech like automatic emergency braking and electronic stability control is required? The answer, like most things in traffic safety, is more nuanced and sometimes surprising. US crash trends today. Before diving into body styles, it helps to know what's happening on American roads right now. After a grim pandemic-era surge, traffic deaths have begun to fall again. In 2023, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration counted about 40,901 fatalities, down a little over 4% from 2022. Early estimates for 2024 suggest another decline, with roughly 39,000 people killed and the fatality rate dipping to about 1.2 deaths per 100 million vehicle miles traveled. It's still higher than in many peer countries, but at least the trend is moving in the right direction. One area remains troubling: pedestrians. In 2023, more than 7,300 people on foot were killed, nearly 80% higher than in 2009. Preliminary data for 2024 hint at a modest decrease, but still an uncomfortably high number of pedestrian deaths. This matters because the choice between an SUV and a car doesn't just affect the people inside, it also affects those walking and cycling nearby. How SUVs protect their occupants. Mass is physics' simplest safety feature. In a two-vehicle crash, the heavier vehicle tends to transfer more force to the lighter one, sparing its own occupants some of the violent deceleration. Modern SUVs are not only heavy, but also structurally robust and stuffed with airbags and sophisticated restraint systems. Insurance Institute for Highway Safety Research consistently shows very small cars have the highest driver death rates, while larger vehicles, including midsize and large SUVs, generally do better at protecting the people riding in them. Compatibility, the idea that one vehicle's structure lines up with another's, has also improved. 2 decades ago, SUVs often rode high enough that their frames slid over car bumpers and went straight into passenger compartments. Automakers responded by lowering front-end structures and adding energy-absorbing designs. Today, heavy SUVs are only moderately more likely than cars to kill the driver of the car they hit, a much smaller gap than in the early 2000s. Pickups still cause more severe outcomes to others than cars or SUVs, but they too have improved compared with older models. Another SUV stereotype, the rollover, has been blunted by technology. Older truck-based SUVs were top-heavy and lacked electronic aids, so single-vehicle rollovers were frighteningly common. Electronic stability control, which became mandatory on new light vehicles starting in 2012, changed that. Studies show ESC can prevent around 3/4 of car rollovers and more than 4/5 of SUV rollovers in single vehicle crashes. The laws of physics still apply if you take a fast corner with a roof box full of bricks, but the nightmare rollovers of the early SUV era are much rarer today. Finally, crash tests have gotten tougher. The IIHS has added new, more severe side impacts and nighttime pedestrian detection to its top safety pick criteria. Many SUVs earn these top awards, but so do many sedans. In other words, you can't just assume SUV equals safe. You have to look at specific models and see how they perform in the latest tests. The risks SUVs pose to others. What about everyone who isn't inside your vehicle? This is where SUVs' extra size and height start to look less friendly. Research has repeatedly shown that taller, more vertical front ends, common on SUVs and pickups, make crashes with pedestrians and cyclists more deadly. Instead of striking the legs and tossing the person onto a relatively forgiving hood, tall front ends hit the torso or head, causing more severe injuries and at lower speeds. A recent Insurance Institute study confirmed that hood heights above about 40 inches significantly raise pedestrian fatality risk compared with lower, sloped fronts. Crash compatibility improvements help other drivers, but can't cancel out sheer mass. Heavy pickups in particular remain more likely to kill people in the cars they hit than cars or SUVs are. Visibility is another problem. As hoods and dashboards rise, blind zones in front of big vehicles grow. Safety advocates have demonstrated that some new trucks can completely hide a child standing directly in front of the bumper. Automatic emergency braking with pedestrian detection is helping, but performance can drop at night or in rain, and it doesn't yet offset the fundamental physics of a tall, heavy nose. The modern car's counter-argument arguments. It's easy to forget that sedans have been improving just as fast as SUVs. A well-designed midsize car with a Top Safety Pick Plus award can protect its occupants impressively in crashes. Cars tend to handle better and stop more quickly thanks to a lower center of gravity and less mass. Avoiding a crash altogether is the safest option, and smaller, more agile vehicles still have an edge there. Cars also tend to be kinder to pedestrians because of their lower, sloped front ends. If you care about not harming others, sedans or lower profile crossovers with strong pedestrian automatic emergency braking and good headlight ratings are the responsible choice. SUVs that are lower and more car-like can balance personal protection with reduced external risk better than towering pickups. What the data really says about safer. So is an SUV safer than a car? The honest answer is, for its own occupants, usually yes. For everyone else on the road, usually no. A midsize SUV with good crash test results and pedestrian detection technology can be a very safe place for you and your family. IIHS driver death rate data shows small cars often exceed 100 driver deaths per million registered vehicle years, while midsize SUVs are typically around half that rate. But that same vehicle increases risks for pedestrians and smaller vehicles. SUVs are 20 to 30% more likely than passenger cars to kill a pedestrian in a frontal crash, according to IIHS. The difference has narrowed compared to the early 2000s, when SUVs were far more aggressive, but it hasn't disappeared. Importantly, the safety return from simply buying bigger and heavier isn't endless. The IIHS notes that as all vehicles have added airbags, ESC, and crash-optimized structures, the extra benefit of moving up in size has shrunk. Full-size pickups, which can weigh 2,000 pounds more than midsize SUVs and ride much higher, offer little added protection for their own drivers compared with the harm they cause in multi-vehicle crashes. Studies have shown that drivers of other cars face up to 50% higher fatality risk when struck by large pickups compared with sedans or midsize SUVs. Meanwhile, effective crash avoidance features, especially automatic emergency braking that functions well at night, reduce front-to-rear crashes by 50% or more, offsetting some size disadvantages through prevention rather than brute force. Technology and driver behavior still matter most. Whether you choose a car or an SUV, your personal safety still depends heavily on technology and driving style. Look for vehicles with advanced driver assistance features such as forward collision warning, automatic emergency braking that works well at night, blind spot monitoring, and good headlights. Electronic stability control is already standard, but well-tuned lane keeping and adaptive cruise can help avoid crashes altogether. Then there's the simple, boring truth. Speeding, distraction, and impairment override almost any vehicle advantage. So, what do you think? Sedan or SUV? Let us know in the comments which one you'd choose and why. If you found this breakdown helpful or at least entertaining while you decide what to buy next, give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next deep dive. Drive safe, stay smart, and I'll see you in the next video.